Caucus, some 40 conservative lawmakers who could be the biggest obstacle to passing the legislation. Congressman, you've called for using the budget reconciliation plan to pass a clean repeal of Obamacare. The problem is then you're going to need 60 votes to do a lot of the things that the Obamacare repeal and replace plan does to maintain health care coverage for some of the millions of people in danger of losing it. Wouldn't you create chaos for a lot of those people?
No, the effective date for that is 2 years out. It's the same thing we put on then President Obama's desk, Chris. Why not put that on President Trump's desk? We think it'll get a different outcome. We believe President Trump will sign it. Understand the Speaker's plan doesn't repeal Obamacare. Even Charles Krauthammer said that, called it Obamacare light, as you said earlier. It doesn't bring down premiums, and it doesn't unite Republicans. So why not do what we all voted for just 15 months ago, clean repeal, and then get focused and build some momentum to actually replace Obamacare with something that's going to bring down costs.
But I don't have to tell you, the problem is that you can repeal Obamacare under this plan with 51 votes because it's part of budget reconciliation. Now, if you're going to replace it, you're going to be doing that needing 60 votes, 8 Democrats, and you're not going to get them.
Yeah, and the Speaker's plan is the same thing. It talks about things we have to do in phase 3 that you're going to need more votes for. And if we want to put more in this first reconciliation bill, actually get after the insurance regulations that we think are driving up the cost for working class families and middle class families, then let's do that, and we can challenge the Senate and take that to the Senate and maybe have a ruling with the parliamentarian there. But we can do it that way as well. The key is let's do what we told the voters we were going to do. Let's repeal Obamacare, not create some different form of Obamacare.
Yeah, but so I was going to ask you, one of the other things you're talking about doing, basically blowing up the Senate rules. To do what?
To actually repeal Obamacare. And right now, everyone knows the insurance regulations, all the mandated coverage that are in there that drive up the cost for everyone. Those have to be dealt with if we're ultimately going to bring down the cost for working class families, middle class families. And if we can put that in this bill and get over there, you may have a parliamentary ruling on it, but I think we could win that as well and use that strategy to actually repeal and replace it with something that's going to be helpful.
But Congressman, here's the problem. If you blow up the Senate rules and you basically say you can pass almost anything under reconciliation with 51 votes, then you're ending the filibuster. You're saying a majority can do anything they want. Back in 2009, there was a simple majority, but not a filibuster-proof majority of Democrats who wanted universal health care, and they couldn't do it because they couldn't get the 60 votes to do that. So that's one problem with it. I mean, if you blow up the rules, yes, it'll work for you now, but when the Democrats come back in, and they will eventually, then they can do anything they want by 51 votes. And the other thing, and I don't mean to be harsh about this, is I've talked to some senators who say they don't want a congressman telling them how to run their chamber.
That's fine. Valid point, Chris. What I do know is what we told the American people. And we told them we were going to repeal Obamacare and replace it with something that's going to bring down the cost of insurance. That's what we told them. This legislation that the Speaker's brought forward doesn't do that. We didn't tell the American people we were going to repeal Obamacare, but keep some of the taxes in there. We didn't tell the American people we were going to repeal Obamacare and take the Medicaid expansion and extend it. We didn't tell them we were going to repeal Obamacare and get rid of the mandate, but yet bring back this 30% penalty that's in the bill. We didn't tell them we were going to have this insurance subsidy in the bill either. So let's do what we said. Right now, the thing that should unite us is what we all voted on before. I mean, every Republican 15 months ago voted for the clean repeal. Why is it okay to say at campaign time, we're going to do this, and then once you get in office, oh, wait a minute, we got to change what we told the voters we're going to do? I don't think that's why they sent us here. So let's pass that, and then let's move on to do the other things we have to do to fix this.
Look, this is clearly going to be a negotiation between you and House and Senate Republicans and the White House. And part of the problem is that different House members, different conservatives, frankly, in your caucus, have different wish lists. And the question I have is, has the House Freedom Caucus come down with a final wish list, what you can live with and what you can't live with?
I think you first got to start here, Chris. There's a reason why every single major conservative group in the country is opposed to the Speaker's plan. There's a reason why so many conservative healthcare experts are opposed to the plan. There's a reason why 5 conservative senators are opposed to the plan, and there's a reason why conservatives in the House are also opposed to the plan.
But, sir, you're not answering my question. Have you got
it doesn't solve the problem.
Have you got a final wish list of the things that you drop dead? We cannot accept this in the plan.
We're working on that. The president's been very clear that he wants negotiation. They're open to change. Your previous guest just talked about they're open to changes. We're working on that. We're going to be at the White House on Tuesday. We're open. We're looking at those issues that we think can make this bill consistent with what we told the American people we were going to do.
Well, let's talk about a couple of the sticking points for you and other conservatives in the so-called Paul Ryan bill. One of them is the refundable tax credits, which you call a new entitlement and a substitute for subsidies. But other conservatives and Tom Price, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, say, look, people who get their health insurance on the job get a tax break because that benefit is not taxed. This is just treating people who buy health insurance on the individual market the same way. It's a level playing field.
Fair enough, Chris, and we've been fine with tax credits. Our concern is you want to give tax credits to people who actually have a tax liability. If you don't, it's nothing more than a subsidy. What we really are focused on is we want to bring back affordable insurance, not just have some subsidy for the government to buy some plan that the government approves, not to put more people on Medicaid, but to actually have those working class families be able to shop for a plan, an affordable plan, that meets their family's needs. That's a much better option than signing people up for a government-type program. So that's what we're focused on accomplishing.
Well, all right. Before we get into that, let me ask you about another aspect of the repeal and replace plan, which is Medicaid expansion. Now, the White House and Paul Ryan are talking about phasing that out, the expansion that has allowed millions, 11 million people to get health insurance who didn't have it before Obamacare. They're talking about phasing that out by 2020. You want to end it right away. Isn't that going to create chaos and throw millions of people off health insurance?
Chris, the plan we passed that every Republican supported last Congress said there's a 2-year effective date. So you would repeal Obamacare, but there's still 2 years transition time. Everyone knows you need a transition time to bring back a marketplace. So again, I don't view success as keeping Americans on Medicaid. I view success as bringing down the cost of insurance so families can pick the plan that fits their needs. That's what we're doing. We have a 2-year transition time for that. And again, remember what we told the voters. We said we were going to repeal Obamacare, not keep Medicaid expansion around forever. We said we were going to repeal it. So let's do that. Let's be consistent with what we told the American people we were going to accomplish when they sent us here to Washington.
Here is what House Republican Speaker Ryan says is the bottom line. Even if it doesn't meet all of your demands, he says that this plan, this repeal and replace plan, is a lot better than continuing with Obamacare. And he points out these measures in the plan of what it'll do. It would end the individual and employer mandates. It would expand health savings accounts, make it possible for people to put more money into the HSAs, and it would create a path to turn the Medicaid entitlement into a block grant to states. If you block this plan, are you willing to blow up, repeal and replace, something that, as you point out, Republicans have been promising for 7 years? Are you prepared to deliver what could be a death blow, certainly a very serious blow, to the early days of the Trump presidency? I mean, are you willing, bottom line, to vote no on the Ryan plan and to block Obamacare repeal and replace this year?
Chris, it's not, as the Speaker said, it's not a binary choice. That's not how the legislative process works. This idea that they had the bill hidden away, introduced it 5 days ago, and you got to take it or leave it, that's not how American democracy works. I represent 750,000 people, as do all other members. We'd like a chance to amend it, change it, and make it consistent with the message we told the voters we were going to accomplish. And it seems to me...
And if I may just briefly, because we're running out of time, what about those moderate members, but moderate Republicans, particularly in the Senate, who are saying this goes too far, that they're scared of what this is, and that you've got Ryan and those folks trying to thread a needle here to satisfy the right wing, but also to satisfy the center.
Chris, they all just voted for it a few months ago, the clean repeal that we introduced this week. So it's okay to say I voted for it during campaign time, but now when it counts, you can't do it? Seems to me if the binary choice, if there is one here, is to say, look, either work with all the folks in the conservative movement, all the Republicans around the country who say this plan is not what we need to do. Either work with us or you don't end up getting the votes. That's the real choice here. So I hope they'll work with us. I hope they'll have the same, I hope the Speaker and our leadership will have the same attitude the White House does, which is let's work together and find a plan that works for the American people and that is consistent with what we told them we were going to do when they gave us the privilege to serve.
Bottom line, if this is the plan that you have to vote on the House floor, where will you vote? What will you vote?
I don't plan for voting for the plan as introduced by the Speaker and what went through the committees this week. Again, went through the committees. Not one single amendment was allowed to be offered. That's not how the process is supposed to work.
So you'll vote no on this plan?
I'm not for this plan, and I think there's lots of opposition to this plan in the House and the Senate.
Congressman Jordan, thank you. Thanks for joining us. It's always good to talk with you, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
Coming up, we'll bring in our Sunday group to assess